Hello, this is Clayton with Aeromotive Research and Development Group. Today, we're going to be spending some time about power steering fluid basics for extreme automotive application from lessons learned from military and aerospace hydraulic systems. See, racing power steering system fluid basics need to learn lessons from what we use in the military and high requirements in aerospace. You see, the very same principles or transference of fluid energy in extreme duty automotive applications is very similar in a racing power steering fluid need as well. Example, when you have the ailerons and steering devices that's with an aircraft under a 3 to 4 G load, that is the same type of requirement in your race car's power steering fluid when you've got a 2 to 3 G load on your system when it's maxed out as well. Our desire is to increase power steering system efficiency within the racing application. This is where an extreme duty hydraulic system is required, the same way as we mentioned in the military is in within racing. Because when you're racing, you're fighting it going down the straight because the car is used to turning left, or when your RPMs are reduced and you're coming into a corner like you're road racing, then you need as much pressure as possible because, you know, the engine's only turning at, let's say, 2,000 or 3,000 RPMs, not 6 or 9. So let's get into this. So we've got a pump that creates the fluid energy, the hoses and seals that moves it, servo valve that regulates the pressure, and then you've got the rack and the piston that receives it so that you can, or the gearbox within the worm gear that uses the fluid energy. Well, we have to understand it's the movement of energy. It's called bulk modulus and elasticity of the fluid. Now, I know those are fancy words, but you need to learn this. You see, the basic hydraulic principles used within the power steering system require advanced aerospace fluid technology to improve the extreme duty, automotive, commercial, and racing application. Now, a couple of these elements that we're going to talk about, now this isn't going to get too sophisticated, but you need to learn this. It's the quality of the base oil. See, this is why aerospace PAO oils are used, and they make a difference because we have to increase the volume area of the oil molecules. In other words, it increases fluid pressure capability. Furthermore, we're going to talk about diamond-like additives, which will reduce the friction on the moving parts. And last, a little bit, is the synthetic anti-wear additive advancement, which again helps component protection. One of the problems is when the fluid is unable to maintain its viscosity stability. In other words, the fluid thins out at high temperatures or thickens at lower temperatures. And then it forces the pump to try to work the fluid harder because the fluid can't do its job. All right? But you're limited and you can only do so much. See, the answer is by using an aerospace formulation such as we use with the SynMax hydraulic fluids, which performs better than competitive products. In other words, regular power steering fluid that people currently would use. You see, there's more than just one simple answer. It's a formulation of many things coming together. It is the science of combined elements, including advanced base oils, selected additive package to increase overall performance efficiency. No matter the question, the bottom line answer is friction versus energy. When you reduce friction and workload, you increase energy efficiency, and that comes from the decision of the fluid design. Now here's some basics. 95% of the fluid performance is found within the base oil. It's called bulk modulus. You can look that up. It's a selection of the base oil that determines the ability for hydrodynamic flow and pressure within the oil volume. In other words, how good it's going to work. All right. You see, also there's internal friction performance within the oil molecules. and how well they work together. The other 5% is what's called fluid performance, or the additives. In other words, that's the external friction of the oil, anti-wear performance for oxidation and seals. Now, SynMax, as we're going to share, uses the nano-sized diamond-like additives, which provides a solid film embedding into the metal surfaces, which decreases friction on the moving parts. Now, as we mentioned, 95% of the fluid performance is found within the base oil. Now, we can get into a lot of things, but basically you're going to run into situations of viscosity, oxidization breakdown, thermal decomposition, which decreases energy efficiency and performance. What's this mean? You're taking a fluid, most common fluids that you find in commercial things, and it's only designed to be going down the road at like 2,000 RPMs or 2,500 in your average car or truck. All right? You're running it at 6,000, 8,000, 9,000 RPMs. So you have to have a better fluid for all these RPMs that you're putting the work through. Now, when you have an improved fluid base oil, such as a premium fluid found within polyolefins and aerospace technology, it increases thermal stability, greater heat dissipation, and reduced friction properties. Okay, and it provides aerospace stabilization. In other words, if you have a better fluid, it'll work better for you, and the pump doesn't have to work as hard. All right. Further, we're going to talk about how the diamond-like additives stay suspended in the oil to further reduce friction within the oil molecules and the components themselves. Again, as mentioned, we need to have less internal friction within the oil. We need all of the components to be as uniform as possible, and that's where the synthetic and the design of fluids, such as with the SynMax power steering fluid, comes in. Now, if you have uneven molecules, all right, the molecules start to heat up, the viscosity breaks down quicker, and increased internal friction. When you have even molecules, which is with your like PAO synthetics, it reduces internal friction, provides greater heat dissipation, increases oil and component service life, and increases hydraulic system efficiency and durability. Now, we can get into this a little more, but here's an illustration of a pump. All right. See, when you've got uneven molecules, the pump has to work harder to see. You got the little fan on the left and then the little arrow. You're trying to take oil to fill a cylinder or to fill that. All right. When you have a lower quality product, the pump has to work harder. When you have a higher quality product and all the oil molecules are even, it provides greater volume area or bulk modulus, so the pump doesn't have to work as hard. It's called volume area stability. It provides increased fluid pressure and energy. Now, you've got the volume energy is what you're trying to fill. You're trying to fill that cylinder, all right? And so the greater or the improvement of the fluid when the pressure is happening, the greater the efficiency and the less the pump has to work to do the same job. It's called bulk modulus and volume area stability. Now, another thing that's very, very important is try not to have a bunch of complicated hoses. Try to have it as straight as possible. When you have kinks in the hoses, all right, and you've got all these kinks and all these adapters and all this stuff, every section that you have is going to create turbulence within the oil, all right? That is going to determine your volume, oil volume area, and your flow and your energy capacity. So try to have as straight a shot as possible with as few adapters as possible to reduce the turbulent flow of the oil as it's trying to do its job. Okay, so when you have all the elements that are working together, the synthetic base oil, the diamond-like additives. Now, what the diamond-like additives are going to do is they're going to reduce the friction when it starts working hard on the pump, on the servo valve, when it's moving back and forth on the valve, trying to regulate the pressure, on the actual worm gear itself, on the gears that are working within the rack. All right, all those little components that are there, the diamond-like additives will embed in and reduce the friction, so that will improve hydraulic flow. All right. So when you have all the elements working together, you're going to increase the oil molecule volume, which improves fluid flow and pressure. You will improve the internal and external friction of the hydraulic oil, that is reduced. And performance levels are increased with more energy produced while maintaining viscosity stability and smoother power steering operations. So, Clayton, what does all that mean? All right. Your pump can only work so hard, and then you're trying to force it to do more work. When the fluid works better and everything is in concert, it will give you that extra amount of required performance that a bad fluid will not be able to do. So in conclusion, the SynMax power steering fluid is an aerospace, uses aerospace and synthetic base oils similar to what's used in aircraft today for our military. Includes PAO, viscosity stability, seal rejuvenation. Now that's very important because the seals hold the pressure. You don't want those getting rotted out or going bad. Because if they don't hold the pressure, you don't have the power. You have the diamond-like additive protection. If you mix it with another fluid, it's universal. Historically, the performance that you're going to have with the SynMax type product over a common product found in a commercial automotive place, it's going to improve the performance about 8 to 10%. And the SynMax proprietary power steering fluid formulation fulfills all requirements as stated within this presentation. So we want to thank you for the time that we spent together for the Aerospace Advantage for Motorsports regarding the power steering fluid basics on hydraulics. If you have any questions, which we've just barely really touched on hydraulics, please send us an email at aeromotiveresearch.com and we'll help you out, okay? Now, on behalf of Wayne Lensing, Danny Lensing, Performance Parts Supply, the Left-Hander Chassis Group, and especially SynMax Performance Lubricants, we want to thank you for the time that we spent together. Now, if you need any more information, contact us at www.synmaxoil.com. Give us a call here in the United States in the Chicagoland area at 815-389-9999. And again, if you have any technical questions, just send us an email. We'll help you out as best as possible. So if you need some product, give them a call. Thank you, and have a great day.